Welcome back in an NFL Daily Power Rankings here, as voted on by the Chat Sports staff. Apologies for the nasally voice, got a bit of a cold. At 32, the Jets, dead last because, we have eyeballs. Number 31, the Tennessee Titans. They've already fired their head coach. Gotta wonder when the Dolphins are going to make some changes to their coaching staff, front office. They are number 30, a season that continues to run into issues for Miami. It's been a disaster class there. These three teams should be sellers at the 2025 NFL trade deadline. We will have coverage for you here on Chat Sports. So if you are excited for it, like the video right now. Trades are always fun. We'll keep talking trade news and rumors on the show. So like the video if you haven't already done so and you're hyped about the NFL trade deadline. I'll be honest, I think there are two things that have stunned me this year. One positive, one negative. The negative is the Raiders. I didn't think they were going to be some elite level football team and dominant and look like a great program and, make the playoffs, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I'm kind of stunned they beat the Patriots in week 1. It's been a mess since then. Like, their other win is over the Titans. Okay, who cares? I did not think it was going to be just – I thought the floor was going to be raised with Pete Carroll, and it is not this year. It's been a real disappointment. The Saints are scrappy, but, they're not a good football team. At least they're fun to watch, which I don't know if we can say the same thing about the Raiders at number 28. The Browns at 27. At times, that Dolphins game was an affront to the football gods. It's just in a lot of ways, mostly on the Miami side, but still. The Cardinals are really heading down the wrong way. My concern when they lost to Tennessee was, are they going to be able to hang on and ride out the season? They have lost to the Colts and lost to the Packers in frustrating fashion. They haven't won a game since the first 2 weeks. 5 straight losses for Arizona. They're trending in a wrong, negative direction. The Giants, on one hand, they should have won the game because they blew it. On the other hand, they shouldn't have tied it up and taken a lead anyway in the second half with some questionable penalties. Ask Sean Payton and, I guess, Trey Greenlaw. Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo have been fun. That defense blew it, frankly. I know there are plenty of Giants fans here at Chat Sports. Who is your favorite NFL team? This is your chance to sound off and flood the comment section. Shout out your favorite team with the pinned comment of today's show. Number 24, the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens have a schedule that sets up for success. They're not out of the AFC North, but they have to start winning games and quickly or else it's going to be too much to overcome. Houston, the defense played really well. The offense did not on Monday Night Football. It was frankly a disaster class from Houston's offense. Stroud looks uncomfortable, which I get, but it's a real issue on the offensive side of the ball. The Bengals, how about that Thursday Night Football upset? That was a great game for the Bengals. Gives them hope that the season is not over. They have the Jets this week. The Commanders at number 21 here. Look, Washington, the schedule gets tough. I do worry about them as they move forward. Can they hang on and get back in the playoff hunt once Daniels gets healthy? The Cowboys at 20. Some weeks they look good. Some weeks the defense is too much to overcome. They are one spot behind a team they lost to a week ago, the Carolina Panthers, back above 500 for the first time in years. Yeah, years for Carolina. I think it was the Matt Rule era was last time they were above 500. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It is simple to play. You pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks. You can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app in the new feed tab as well. One of the Sunday slate Prize Picks lineups, Saquon Barkley, more than a half touchdown. How about a revenge game for Philly and Saquon against the Giants? Aaron Rodgers, more than passing yards in his revenge game. And Jordan Love, more than 31.5 attempts after what we saw Joe Flacco do to Pittsburgh. Go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Links to the comment section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. I think the Vikings need J.J. McCarthy back. That was a very Wentzian performance. A couple of nice plays, but some really head-scratcher ones there. They're kind of hovering right around that, like, we're in the playoff hunt in a tough NFC, but, like, do we have faith in them? Same is true of the Atlanta Falcons. Some weeks they look good. Some weeks they look really, 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 really bad, and I have no idea how good that team actually is. 500 feels right for them in the end. It feels like what they should be listed as. Every single NFC North team is at least 500. The Bears are 4-2. The schedule hasn't been, overly daunting, but they've gutted out wins over the Commanders, over the Raiders in some previous weeks there. Big game coming up against the Ravens for both teams in that one. Bengals, too, frankly, will help us know how good this Bears team really is. Jacksonville announced themselves with that big win over the Chiefs, and since then, it has not been particularly good. Tough loss against Seattle, blowout loss against the Rams. Now they're back to 4-3, trying to play catch-up in the AFC South, which is the Colts division. Who saw that one coming? More on them later on, by the way. The Chargers, I think Herbert's playing well. Everything else, the injuries are a little bit too much to overcome right now. But in the AFC, where it's kind of like, to an extent, wide open, I feel like. The Chiefs are a good team, but they're only 4-3. The Chargers are not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. For more NFL Power Rankings, make sure you guys are subscribed. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Free videos each and every single day right here on the channel. Plus, watch parties, red zone, and trade deadline coverage as well. Pittsburgh slides down significantly in this week's Power Rankings, which there had been some doubts about how good they really were, and that was a bad loss against the Bengals. Still, they have the lead for now in the AFC North and are several spots ahead of all the other AFC North teams. Denver, 5-2. They actually lead the AFC West. That was a wild game against the Giants. I still worry at times about that offense, but the defense has been pretty solid so far this season. With some exceptions. But the Niners, look, I get they're behind the Seahawks, which, head-to-head, we can have that different level conversation. But I think it is the injuries that are so impactful here for the 49ers. If they were healthy, I think you could argue that they're a clear-cut top 5 team, but they're not healthy. Like, they're so banged up across the board. Their edges are decimated. The receiving core, the quarterback is still hurt. The defense, they are wildly banged up. And I do wonder just how much longer they can continue to overcome that. Seattle checks in at number 10. It was a good performance, I thought, against Houston. It should have been over at halftime, but the Texans were somehow hanging around. I like what Seattle's done this year. I wasn't sure how it was going to be. In terms of just impact and performance with Sam Darnold and Clint Kubiak, and they lost barely against the Bucs. They got wins over the Texans and Jags and Cardinals and Steelers, and the Saints and the Niners only lost. They've been a good team this year in a very tough NFC West. In fact, all 3 NFC West teams represented here. The Rams are number 9. Low key, I had, I think, justifiable concerns. Hey, is Matt Stafford going to be okay? The back, is he actually okay? He's got 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this year. He's been playing awesome football. Now, there's been some inconsistent moments. The Philadelphia game was, some issues there. But I think that has been really good play from Stafford. I think he should be in the MVP conversation. A lot of quarterbacks, because that's how it goes these days, should be in the MVP conversation. Who, so far, reserving the right to change your mind, is the NFL MVP this year? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I mentioned last week I thought the Patriots were just going to be able to, cruise to double-digit wins. We're kind of on that path right now. You know that they have the Browns this upcoming week? and they still have 2 more games against the Jets. They are marching towards double-digit wins and maybe even winning the division this year. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I was surprised that the Chat Sports voters picked Buffalo over New England, given that we're not that far removed from a Bills head-to-head win over the Patriots. I mean, it wasn't that close against the Saints. I felt like that was a bit more in hand. I think there's some built-in higher expectation for Buffalo. I was surprised by that voting, though. But Patriots are good. Those are good, too. Packers are one of 2 teams with 1 loss. I'm actually okay with them being just outside the top 5. The way they have gotten there, first 2 weeks, they look awesome. Look like the best team in football, frankly. Since then, you barely sneak by the Cardinals. You kind of held on against the Bengals. You tied the Cowboys, and you lost against the Browns. Like, it looks more challenging than it should be for Green Bay. The Chiefs, now that their receivers are back, might be back as a team as well. I think that they're going to go on a pretty strong run here in the back half-ish of the NFL season. Tampa slides down a few spots after their Monday Night Football loss in Week 4. Tampa's, if you want to do quality losses, get the best quality losses in football. The Lions and the Eagles at number 3. A good get-right game for Philadelphia. Really good performance out of Jalen Hurts. That was a strong showing from him. Perfect, I think, quarterback rating game. He was dealing, had time in the pocket. Great job with him and Devonta Smith. Eagles needed that game. We'll unveil number 1 and number 2 here in a second. But the Colts have the best record in football. Should they be ranked number 1? Y for yes, N for no. The Chat Sports voters say no, because it is AP poll style here. I'll be honest, I mentioned like the one surprise that was a good thing. It's Indy. I did not, in my wildest imagination, think they were going to be this good this year. Frankly, I don't think you'd find many Colts fans who honestly thought they were going to be this good this year. Good. The Rams loss is the only loss on the resume. The Broncos win is by far their best one. The schedule hasn't been overly daunting, but they did beat the Chargers. They get the Titans next week, so they should be 7-1. And then maybe some resume litmus test games. Steelers, maybe Atlanta, the Chiefs. But their schedule isn't that hard. This is going to be a playoff team. At number 1, though, jumping up over the Bucs, who were ranked number 1 last week, the Detroit Lions. Since a frustrating Week 1 loss against the Packers, they've taken care of business. They blew out the Bears. They beat up other Ravens. The game was not as close as the score indicates. Blew out the Browns. Blew out the Bengals. Tough loss against the Chiefs. That one was not great. They did pretty good, though, against the Bucs. So I'm not surprised the Lions jumped up 1 spot from last week. So grade our NFL power rankings, A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show.